What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fact vs. Fiction. I'm your host, Jax. All right. So for today's video, oh my goodness, it's Stevie Knight and Aba having a debate about Charlie Kirk. This video is an hour long. I think it was a live stream from what it looks like. Like I said, it's an hour long. I'm not doing all of that. I might do it in separate videos, but I don't know what's gonna happen in this debate, this conversation. So I'm gonna just go ahead and jump straight into it and intervene whenever, and give my two thoughts. Let's go.
So let's get started. So Stevie, you watched our video and you had some critiques for it. So yeah, let me know what you think we was getting wrong in regards to how we handled this Charlie Kirk situation.
Well, I want to keep what I.
So it's left versus right. So this is the first segment. It goes on for like 15 minutes, but let's go.
Felt was wrong towards the end, but leading up to that, just think it's differing in opinions, which is fine. That's what we're here for, man. But I think if I can recall correctly, the beginning of it, it was more like you were talking about how the right wants to, or we need to tone it down. Or I don't want to say we, right? It was more like focusing on the right versus the left. You know what I mean? And you felt a way about, I'm assuming what your intent was, just focus on the right. Now we need to tone it down, and we're doing the same thing that the left was doing, bro. And where I differ in opinion with you as far as this whole situation is that I don't think anything should be toned down if we're highlighting, if we're focusing on the right people. You know what I'm saying? I think that the right versus left is being overhyped, which makes sense because we're divisive as hell in society, man. But the demons are demoning. You know what I mean? And regardless if it's right or left, I feel like these people need to be held accountable, and we need to zero in on these individuals. And I don't think a toning down at all will work, given the climate.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say. I felt some type of way at the beginning when we're focusing on, like, the emphasis of your video was to highlight Charlie, and then you were trying to compare it to other things that may have happened that were similar.
Sure.
And I think that's taking attention away from, the elephant in the room, which is Charlie Kirk situation, which we never had a situation like this happen ever, because of the.
Okay, so the video that he's speaking about, where they're disagreeing on, is where Stevie, he was reacting to one of Aba and Preach's videos, and he didn't think that Aba and Preach, and this is Aba right here, if you don't know, for context, he didn't expect for them to be so biased in the way that they went about handling the conversation.
But the majority, hell no.
Evil. It is time for the righteous to prevail for the sake of our country and for our families and our children.
The righteous to prevail.
Facts.
You denouncing all this shit that happened, and you said this is wrong, and then you advocate for this shit to happen. Yeah, perpetrating the same thing over and over again. It's never gonna stop. It's never gonna stop. Yeah, but it's a sports mentality.
Fair.
My clique can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And won't do no wrong. No, sometimes your clique does shit play.
Bro. It's crazy. They're definitely liberals, right? Clearly. Not used to seeing them so biased, bro. Especially in a situation like this, I'm assuming they're gonna have like the receipts to justify, or not even justify, just to prove certain things, bro. Usually they can be biased and objective.
The media and the fact that everyone was able to see it. You know what I'm saying? And that makes the situation a whole lot different than anything that's happened in the past as far as a murder of this magnitude. And, it seems that you were minimizing the impact of what happened to Charlie.
Okay.
And
What?
and
Yeah, go ahead.
well, I'm gonna keep rolling out. I'll let you.
No, go for it. If you're still on this one, I just didn't want to move from this topic, but
I don't want to roll out like 10 things and have you.
yeah. It's always better to go point by point. I think so.
Yeah, maybe we should go one for one.
Yeah.
So, it felt like, from my end, it felt like it was a right versus left type of thing, and you know what I mean. From how you were describing it, you know, right's doing this, the left's doing this, and you're saying it's hypocritical of the right to be complaining about the same things that the left is doing, or what the right is implying that we're doing. And to me, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about, we isolate, you know, the evil, the degenerate shit that's going on. And when we try to minimize or just bring up the comparison between Charlie Kirk and everything else, it minimizes the tragedy that everyone just witnessed and like the impact it had on everyone, man. So I feel like it's deflecting.
Maybe he's talking about like the right and the left have their demons, and that it's obviously being a hypocritical thing, but both sides need to come together and get rid of these bad seats that are on both parties. I think is what he's trying to get across. Like, whether it be the left or it be the left and it be the right, you know, get those bad seeds and throw them out, because they can be the far extremists as to why certain things that are happening, and like certain political, you know, unalivings and, you know, shootings and what have you. So let's continue.
And it's like you know, Charlie Kirk, his tragedy was important, but other things has happened, and the right was doing the same thing. So it's kind of like, no, it is to me, it's minimizing, you know, what happened.
Got you. So I think there's 2 points in there. One being the hyper focusing on right versus left. You feel like we did that too much, and the second part is minimizing Charlie Dess's murder. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to go to the first point, I did have that in my notes. I think in your video at around 2-minute mark, you said that I was minimizing Charlie Kirk's murder by comparing it to other political violences, or like contextualizing it in the way that I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm minimizing it. I disagree with that characterization for a few reasons. I think it's natural when someone dies that we try to understand why. That's why people love murder mystery. That's why people, you know, every time someone dies, they want to know who the perpetrator is. They want to know who their motivations are, because murder is generally something that we see as incredibly heinous. And so understanding what led to that is always important. When I'm not comparing, this is not the right word. What I'm doing is that I'm explaining away how our society led to this moment and this man, because he wasn't murdered in a vacuum. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was an individual who's incredibly troubled, and he decided to go out and murder somebody for their political opinions, their affiliation, maybe because they had mentally ill issues. Who knows? But there's a landscape, and there's a lot of things that lead up to this murder. It's always important to examine these things, because if we don't understand how we got here, then we're going to be doomed to repeat it. It's never, in my opinion, a bad thing to contextualize any world event, provided you contextualize it fully, right? Or at least you try to, because without context, then all that happened was that someone was shot. Context is everything.
Well, to that point, that makes total sense what you're saying, but to me, it didn't come across that way when you voiced that in the video. It seemed like you were trying to, you know, highlight the divide.
This is something that I'm realizing in this video, obviously, is, I mean, you can obviously see it, and if you look in the background back here, you can see, you know, a reflection. Aba has notes, and which is nothing wrong with that, but you can see Stevie over here just kind of going off the dome. So if you know Aba, you know this man has receipts. He's got receipts. Like, he'll bring up whatever. So I think, I don't want to say it's in bad faith that he's, you know, having notes, but for him to have notes, and maybe Stevie should have brought notes up, but Stevie doesn't really do interviews like that. Like, Aba, he's going to do his research, he's going to pull stuff up, he's going to, you know, mark stuff down and bring it to you from almost like a journalistic standpoint, and he's going, state this, that, and the third, whatever. And Stevie, he doesn't really do that. He pretty much goes off the cuff, goes off the dome with what he's feeling, how he's thinking in the moment, which can be, for a lot of people, a bit more authentic in a lot of ways. But that's just, so from that standpoint, that's why it can take a little bit longer for these two, and the communication and the direction of the conversation could possibly switch in more ways than one, depending on how the conversation goes. But let's continue.
Between the right and the left, or whoever the instigators of it are. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't seem like you were trying to get to a root of the problem or how we trying to fix it. It's like, like I said before, I mean, what you're saying now, if you had voiced it that way in the video, I wouldn't have had the mindset that I have in regards to what you said. But in the video, it didn't come across to me like that at all. It felt like...
Well, right now, the pervasive narrative, and this is where it comes to the left versus right thing, the pervasive narrative that's online and that's being espoused by some of the most important people in our political, stratosphere, is that violence of a political nature is solely left-wing, okay? And I remember at about 3 minutes, 29 seconds, when Matt Walsh is talking, in your video, you said that I was interpreting what he's saying. When he's talking about good versus evil, it's time for the righteous to prevail over the forces of evil. You were saying that I was making a left versus right thing, right? But that's just not true.
Hold on, well, let me make a correction, because you go further on in the video, I recognize that point. I said, hold up, if Matt Walsh is doing that, highlighting the left like this, that's unfair to do so. Then I went on to saying this makes the left look bad, it makes the transgenders look bad, it makes everybody affiliated to this look bad, like guilty by association. That's not the right thing to do. It should be a good versus evil thing, right? But then I went on, because you had a couple other videos of people uttering or echoing the same sentiments as far as, righteous and good and evil. But I did highlight Matt Walsh in that video specifically saying, all right, I see that he is describing the left in this manner, and that shouldn't be the move.
Right. But again, at about like 6 to 7 minutes in the video, you kind of do it again where you say that, that's how I'm interpreting a lot of this narrative of good versus evil. But it's not just Matt Walsh. Ben Shapiro said that most of the political violence today is flowing from left-wing movements and ideology. Elon Musk was on Twitter. He said, the left is the party of murder. If they won't let us live in peace, then our choice is to fight or die. Alex Jones said the right-wingers are in a war during...
And I think in this same video as well, that the right-wing commits more heinous murders than the left wing does.
Especially since BLM, it's been a 90% left wing thing, but that doesn't mean that the 10% right wing people are right either.
It's like, well, crime statistics disagree with you, and it says most of the political violence in this.
Look at that. Motivations carried out by the Anti-Defamation League NGO suggest that far right perpetrators have committed the bulk of extremist-related murders, 76% over the past decade.
I skipped ahead a little bit, so right now they're going into the whole Charlie Kirk situation.
Because I did have that in my notes as well. I think around like the 20-minute mark, you said I took him out of context, right?
Not even take him out of context. You put your context on it, because we let it play. I put the additional clips on it.
Okay, so just for the viewer, there's a clip that we played, maybe of 15 seconds of Kirk on a Jubilee panel. He's talking to somebody. This is a panel about Christians versus, or is it right-wingers versus lefties? I don't remember what it was.
I don't know, but it was about abortion.
Okay, it was about abortion, right? And Kirk is a very Christian, self-proclaimed Christian. Everybody knows this about him. So in that clip, the woman is asking him a hypothetical where he says, if your 10-year-old daughter was raped, okay, would you force her to keep the child? Is that a fair assessment of the clip?
Yeah.
And then Kirk says yes.
He said yes, the baby will have the baby, or my girl will have the
okay.
child.
And then you said that we were kind of dishonest with how we did that we clipped him out of context, and then we put our own context, right?
No, I'm not saying you put your own context. You didn't put the entire context.
Okay.
Like you said, you led into it by saying, I think I'm not going to speak. I'm going to recite you verbatim, but it was essentially, I think that Kirk has said some disgusting things as well.
Yes.
And
I played that clip.
Videos.
Yeah, so let's just talk about that first clip, because I remember you taking that first clip and being really shocked. I think, let me just see here, because I did have that in my notes here. Oh yeah, you said that.
All right, so the video that they're talking about is actually from a year ago. Seems like it's from a year ago, and it's called "One Conservative versus 25 liberal college students." Actually, I mentioned that in one of my previous videos as well about him being on Jubilee. So, I mean, yeah, you guys can go check that video out too.
You said that was really surprising that you were shocked coming from me, and you called me the king of receipts.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is
real shit, because I rely, not rely, but I know when you giving somebody shit, you gonna have.
Okay. So how do you feel I took that clip out of context?
Because when I see that it's trying to paint Kirk as a monster because he's going to force his 10-year-old daughter to have a child.
Right. But as somebody who's anti-abortion, that's his stance. He will force his daughter to have the child because he feels as though life is precious or whatever it is. And, he sees the fetus as a life. So he's like, my daughter will have that baby. That's his take.
Yeah, but if you let the rest of the video play, I mean, it's subjective. Everybody's going to feel differently watching that. But if you just have that short video, it makes it seem like he's a monster. I don't care. Anti-abortion, she having a baby. It could be for anything, because my way or the highway or whatever the case may be, bro. Everybody's not informed on Kirk and his reasonings why. And if I think that you let the video play and gives you his reasonings why, people would understand it. They may not agree with it, but they'll understand it, and they'll take a blow away from how they're initially feeling about him being a monster.
Well,
I don't think they'll take a blow away from how he's feeling about it, because regardless of the fact, they're still going to have that same stance of, why would you not let your daughter have an abortion because she was, she was raped or whatever. They're still going to be like, it's her body, so why not? But also at the same time, you have to think about it too, because in this standpoint, if she's not allowed to give consent to do that type of deed, why would it's almost going like, why would she have consent to carry out having a kid as well when she's also a kid? So it's really a double-edged sword when you think about it. So it's really hard to put that into perspective for a lot of people. So it's in a lot of ways, it's almost kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing in certain situations like that. That's a real extreme situation, and you don't know what you're going to do when you're in that type of situation. But let's continue.
See him still as a monster, because no matter how much you explain it from a religious standpoint,
But that's your opinion.
but that was my whole point. Do you remember what the greater point of that whole section was? That section was about the fact that some people view him as a monster, including me. I don't like the guy. I didn't think his politics were good. That's my personal opinion. I think I'm free to say that. And I played clips that, to me, showcase his stances on things that I just don't agree with and I think are disgusting. Forcing your 10-year-old daughter to have a baby, okay, that after she was raped, okay? You could say it's great for religious reasons. You could give whatever justification you want. There's nothing in there that took him out of context. His stance was...
It is, because if you having that short snippet, people are not going to know why he's doing it. They're just going to know he's doing it.
Yeah, but still, at the same time, Charlie Kirk in that same... I mean, regardless if you look at the whole clip or not, he still doubled down, tripled down on it. He said, yeah, she's still going to have that baby, regardless of the fact that if she was raped or not. She's still going to have that kid, that baby. So, I mean, just for that reason alone, it's like, you wouldn't let your daughter get it. Like, even some people who are like, oh, you got an abortion? You're a monster. Like, so regardless of how you look at it, it's not going to change the narrative on that aspect of Charlie Kirk because he didn't believe in abortions from the get-go. So whatever they say in this portion, it's not going to make any difference. So, Stevie, he's going to be like, he wasn't a monster for that. Aba, Aba can go, yeah, he still, Aba right here, he's still a monster for that. Stevie's going to be like, nah, not for that reason.
If he gives justification of why, and he gave very clear reasons of why, that's going to make some people look at it different.
But also, again, then you have to think, this is also something to think about as to why Stevie would feel some type of way is because Stevie has kids. He has like two kids, 2 or 3 kids, but I want to say 2. And Aba, he doesn't have any kids. So I think that's going to be a clear and stark difference right there. I mean, I'm going to close it here. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe, share with your friends and family, do all that good stuff. All right. And I will see you guys in the next video. And guess what? If you're not there, then you are square. So till next time.